So, you have read chapter 1 through 6 of this book. And you have filled out your journal pages. And you know where the textual evidence is in the book. And now you are ready to write down your thoughts about this book so far. And that's what this video is for. So here's the worksheet that you're looking at in your journal. You have already answered your prompts here, and this is where you wrote the page number or you got them from. So if you put a post-it note on that page, that's cool too. So let's go over the format of the first act. When the story begins, Percy Jackson is living in an ordinary world. That means he has a mother, he's got a stepfather, he's not so good at school, he's not so good at sports, he's just kind of out of place. But it's actually pretty ordinary. There's nothing really special about him yet. But the hero is called to an adventure. Percy Jackson doesn't know he's a hero yet. He just thinks he's ordinary. And up until now, he has been. But he's now going to be called to an adventure, or a mission, or a task. But the hero is going to say no. He's going to refuse to believe it, refuse to participate. He wants nothing to do with this. He's going to try to walk away from it. I mean, he tries to walk away from his dodds when she's attacking him. But then the hero will meet someone, a mentor, an ally, a friend, someone who's going to help him. In the case of Percy Jackson, he has a few mentors and allies. He's got that guy in the wheelchair, he's got that kid that's like half a goat, and then he gets a sign. But then Percy Jackson finally crosses the threshold into a new world, and he's starting a new adventure. Thus ends the beginning. Now, before we get too far into Percy Jackson and the hero's journey, the reason I am teaching you this hero's journey is because this format, this hero pattern, follows a lot of different movies and books and stories. The stories you hear create your values. They show you what's important in the world. They show you what kind of person you can be. Stories tell us where we've been, tell us where we're going. And there are 1,000 stories that follow this hero's journey. In the beginning of Star Wars, Luke Skywalker is an ordinary person. In the beginning of Lord of the Rings, Frodo is quite ordinary. Even in Harry Potter, Harry starts off with an ordinary life until he receives a letter. So the stories of heroes are nothing new, but the best authors always make them feel like they're new. Okay, so let's get back to Percy Jackson. On your worksheet, there is a prompt column and an answer column. You need to write down when Percy Jackson was called to an adventure and how Percy refused that call. You need to write down who Percy met with before he accepted his adventure, and then when he crossed over into the new world. Percy Jackson crosses over into like a half world first because the author kind of like changed up the pattern of the hero's journey a little bit. There's like a half way between his old world and the new world. And then chapter 17, he crosses over into the full world of the gods where nobody is there but other gods. So you're actually going to have to come back to this worksheet at the end of chapter 17. But your answer should look like this. The very first time that Percy knew he was not ordinary is when he was attacked by the teacher. When Mrs. Dodds attacked him, Percy refused to be involved at all. He just tried to get away and leave. He was trying to get away from her, but she was trying to get something from him. But he didn't even answer her question. Where is it? Where is it? She kept trying to get from him. But he was just trying to get away from her. That was the first refusal. And then Grover started telling him things and he didn't believe it either. So Grover revealed his true self, and then he started to help Percy come to terms with this new reality. And then that guy in the wheelchair too, he was kind of be considered a mentor also. But then Percy's mom was attacked, and that was a sign which made Percy join the adventure. And then he went to Half-Blood Camp, and now everything is starting. The moment he walked onto Half-Blood Camp, that was the very end of the beginning. But before we go on, this is another good spot to pause and do some really deep thinking. I want you to start noticing some parallels. When you see this sign here, start thinking of parallels. That means you're noticing the things that are the same about Percy Jackson from other stories you know. And if you think about this in a general way, that means someone ordinary has a hard task in front of them. They gain some allies and some friends and some mentors, and some other people come along and help them. So if we think about starting off in an ordinary world, but now we need to think about what kind of stories, in the stories you know, what kind of allies are there? In the Star Wars saga, Han Solo and Chewbacca are kind of like the allies and the mentors. In the Harry Potter saga, Hagrid is kind of the same kind of character. And then we have in The Lord of the Rings, Gandalf the Grey. He serves as a mentor, as a friend, guiding Frodo where he needs to go. So let's get on our reading response. If you know any parallels like that, I want you to throw them in the third paragraph. In the first paragraph, you need to introduce the book and talk about the hero's journey generically. Don't go into detail yet. The first paragraph is just orienting your reader what you're going to talk about. The second paragraph is going to go into detail about the first act. And the third paragraph is going to tell your thoughts. If you notice any parallels, if you have any predictions, if you make an inference, if you have a connection to Percy Jackson yourself. So let's go through that and let's do it paragraph by paragraph. So get a piece of paper, whatever it is you're going to write on, a Google Doc, something online, a piece of paper, whatever you're going to write, get ready to write. Here we go. The first thing you need to do is write a few sentences to introduce the book and the characters, but not very much after that, like maybe one sentence. But the next sentence, you must include things like the title of the book, and it must be underlined. Whenever you write the title of a book, every word must be capitalized, and the whole title is underlined. And then you're going to tell me the author of the book. Be sure to also tell me the main character's name. I mean, the main character is the hero. You can't tell me a hero's journey without telling me who the hero is. And then just add like one sentence, like why you think this book is important to read, like why your teacher might have chosen it. Okay, but wait. Before you actually start writing the first paragraph, you have to have like a hook. You have to start off hooking the reader in so they want to read it, and then give like a general statement in a topic sentence. So I know I have like a 0 here and a number 1, but this is actually like 4 or 5 sentences here. So let me show you what that looks like. Here is my first paragraph. And let me start off with a hook. The world is full of heroes. Okay, that doesn't sound so good to me. Let me try another one. Okay, let me try this. How about, the people always want to hear about a hero. That's still kind of boring. How about, the world has always needed heroes. Okay, it's simple. I can make it a little better later. Okay, so here is my full first paragraph. The world has always needed heroes. In ancient times, we needed heroes to save us. In modern times, we need heroes to inspire us to become our better selves. To become heroes I don't know, maybe I'll change it. I don't know. Okay, let me keep going. I'm going to read it again. I got to read it again. The world has always needed heroes. In ancient times, we needed heroes to save us. In modern times, we need heroes to inspire us to become ourselves. Okay, now I'm going to add the rest of it. In Percy Jackson the Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan, Percy is a hero, but he doesn't know it yet. Okay, what do you think? Is that good? Okay, it's good enough. It's good enough. I got a hook to begin with. I got a general statement. I got the title underlined. I got the author's name. I got the hero's name. Okay, I'll make it better later. I promise. I'll make it better later. Okay, so let me finish the rest of that paragraph. Now I need to write a few sentences about what a hero's journey is so my reader knows. You need to include what the call to adventure is. You need to include what the refusal is. And that's the part where Percy Jackson says, no, I'm not going to do this. And then you need the part where the mentor comes in, and then the people who help him, and then the crossing over the threshold into the new world. These are all the parts of the hero's journey, and these are all the parts that you need just to touch on in your first paragraph. The final part of your first paragraph is a few sentences about your thoughts, like why you think your teacher wants you to read this book. So that's kind of like the basic parts of your first paragraph. So the whole paragraph is going to sound like this. Pause the video here if you need to just get that down. And then when you're done, paragraph 2. Okay. For paragraph 2, remember, before you actually start writing your sentences, you need to have like a transition word. In this case, you can say to begin, or to summarize, or it's important to know. Just some kind of transition so your reader knows like you're changing, you're going into detail on something. After your transition, you need a sentence that describes Percy's ordinary life and the call to adventure. Then you need to describe how Percy reacted to that call. This is where I want you to quote the text and give a page number. Pull a sentence right from the book and then copy it down for your third sentence. And then I want you to describe Percy's mentor or his helper, one of the allies. Then you will describe how Percy then finally accepted the adventure. And then I want you to describe kind of what it's like in the new world. Maybe just like a sentence, like when he gets to Half-Blood Camp, things will be different. I mean, that's all you need. So let me show you a model then of my second paragraph. Choose one of these transitions here at the top to start off your paragraph. And here is what my paragraph looks like. And then you can decide, is this good enough for you to copy? Because I think you can do a little bit better than mine. Okay, here we go. Here is my example of writing. So let's just do a quick check to see if I've done this correctly. I know your second paragraph is fine because you've used the words ordinary, mentor, refuse, and crossover or threshold, and the word hero. If all of those words are in your second paragraph, then you did it right. If you need to pause the video here and work on that second paragraph, that's what you got to do. Because next up is paragraph 3. When you're ready for paragraph 3, this is the last paragraph and you're done. Don't forget to start with the transition. That's the first thing you do. We always have a transition to the next idea. Now you're going to give me a sentence that's going to predict what's going to happen next in the story. You could also give a sentence about what you predict the theme of the story could be. Maybe you think the theme of the story is family. I mean, there's certainly a lot of family issues going on in this book. I want a sentence or two about your connections to other stories that you've heard, other thoughts you have, if you noticed a parallel, any other icons of depth and complexity you're able to use, put in the third paragraph. I really want to know how deep your brain can go with Percy Jackson here. What are you thinking about? That's what paragraph 3 is about. So here's your last example of what the paragraph should look at. Start off with one of these transitions or one of your own and just start writing your conclusion. Here's how I started. I don't know, I kind of saw that on a bumper sticker on Pinterest or something, but I don't know. Okay, never mind. I kind of don't like it anymore. Okay, let me try that again. Is that a better conclusion? I don't know. I still feel like it's kind of weird. Okay, see, and that's the thing about writing. You got to try and erase and try and erase and try and erase. Okay, what about this one? Okay, I do like that sentence. It does sound kind of good, but I don't want it here. I'm going to save that sentence for later, actually. Okay, so let me try my conclusion again. How about this? Okay, yeah, that does sound good. Okay, so I like my conclusion now, but I kind of don't like my beginning. I'm going to have to go back and guess what? Edit. That's right. You're very close to done if you've done paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3. So maybe this is the point in your writing that you're going to take a break and come back tomorrow. Most people don't do all the writing in one day and then edit immediately afterwards. Like nobody does that, not even professional writers. At the end of your writing, you are going to have to edit it before you turn in. So when you edit, the first thing you need to do is reread your rough draft to yourself. Just by rereading it, you're going to notice some things that can be fixed. While you're rereading it, ask yourself, does this sound like me but smarter? If the words in your writing don't even sound like you need to fix it. I should hear your voice in your writing. Does this part make sense? Does this part make sense? Every time you read every sentence, you should be asking yourself, does this make sense? And then you're going to have to read it out loud. Because if you're imagining your audience, like, okay, I'm going to read this out loud to an 8th grader, then it's like a good strategy to help you realize what your reader might be thinking. So then you can go, oh, this part doesn't make sense. Oh, this part, the sentence should be, over here. And that's the thing. You got to rearrange the sentences so it sounds better. And then the last step is check your grammar, check your punctuation, and check your formatting. You should have 2 spaces after every period. You should have 3 periods in every single paragraph. So maybe you kind of want to have another person read it and then give you feedback on it. Like that's a good idea. Sometimes it's hard to know what can be improved. I mean, you already did your best. How can you do better than your best? So that's where you kind of have somebody else read it and they can point out those things to you. And after you've done all that editing, now you can turn it in. So there you have it. You have done your first reading response to Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. And I guess you're going to have to watch this video like 3 or 4 times so you can make sure that you've got all those things. The second act of the book is about to start. And in that second act, Percy will be tested and he will get a lot more friends and he will create some enemies. And he will start to approach the inside parts of the world of the gods. And he will start to face a horrible ordeal. He'll face a huge monster. He'll face the cause of this problem. Oh, the story is going to get very good. Happy reading.